recording the meeting so that we can share the video at the end and the presentation and other materials. Today we will be hearing the experience carried out by 3 Spanish organizations, Cruz Roja, the Red Cross in Spain, Fundación Secretariado Gitano, which is an important foundation in Spain, which dedicated to Roma people. And there was a third party that I don't remember right now, which was a consultancy that had helped in the development of this digital competence profile of what we decided to call labor market inclusion professionals. We're talking about people who work to support other people in entering into the labor market. And as you know, this is a complex process that needs many activities. And the DigCompLabor was the result of this analysis of what are these activities, what kind of digital competencies they require, and so on. But I will leave the explanation on the context and what this project was and what this framework looks like to Raúl Pérez, who comes from the Fundación Secretariado Gitano and was involved in the preliminary steps of this develop and has followed its evolution over time. So, Raúl, the floor is to you, and welcome everybody. And you can, if you want, you can, if you have questions along the way, just write them in the chat, and I will, when appropriate, when I can see the right moment, ask Raúl to answer to the questions. Thank you, Raúl. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stefano. As Stefano was introducing, I am part of Fundación Secretariado Gitano. But this project we're going to present was made in collaboration with Cruz Roja, as part we are a collaboration entity, so to say, and we are part. We were collaborating in a project called EmpleandoDigital for the digital pathways for employment. And the third entity that Stefano could not remember is part also of this project, EmpleandoDigital, and is Fundación Accenture Foundation, which is a big digital technology company. But in this specific project, in the DigComp, we call it DigCompLabor. It was mainly Cruz Roja and Fundación Secretariado Gitano. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And also, I would like to share in the chat links to a couple of documents. Let me see if I can get it. I hope you can see them. Anyway, Stefan also told me that he will share it with you later. Okay, so those documents are this very presentation and also the whole document, the document where everything that we're going to see is only it is in Spanish. I can see anyway a lot of people here that I think come from Spain or speak Spanish, so I hope it is useful. And for the rest of you, you have to wait for us to translate it. We did not do it yet, but we will do it in the future, and we hope that soon also. So first of all, we want to thank Stefano and All Digital the invitation to present the framework. And also during the presentation, if you can see the slides, we have translated something, so everything is in English. So, but it is not a professional translation of everything. And sometimes we put a page of the report of the framework. So please be patient with that, because maybe there are some mistakes that will be okay when we have the official translation. Okay. So as Stefano was saying, I would like to put some context on this to be sure that you understand the frame of who we are and what is the work we do as NGOs. We are Fundación Secretariado Gitano and Cruz Roja, and we are big organizations. Cruz Roja is bigger, but Fundación Secretariado Gitano is a big NGO also. And we work for the well-being of vulnerable people, for the promotion of rights of vulnerable people and the access to services. So we work in many different areas, employment, education, housing, etc. But when we focus on employment, both entities have, we have a big programs that function from more than 20 years, and which objective, the aim is to support people to get into, to enter the labor market, to improve their employabilities, to enter the labor market, and to get training. So this is our objective in our employment programs, and the beneficiaries we work with usually have low levels of education and experience. I think we have to understand this to know what is the profession we are talking about. The beneficiaries have this low level of education and experience. In our case, Fundación Secretariado Gitano, we work with Roma people, but Cruz Roja, for example, works with a wider group of vulnerable people, sometimes migrants, sometimes young people, women in the situation of vulnerability. They are, for both companies, usually are young people with no experience looking for a job, also no experience working sometimes, not trained, so they have not occupational training usually. In general, they have less opportunities. So when one person, one vulnerable, one person of these groups wants to look for a job, comes to our offices, and what we do is try to support these people, accompany them, so they can get into the labor market. So we are intermediating in the labor market. We are in the middle, so to say, between the labor market and this need these people have to work. How do we do it? We do it through what we call personalized pathways. This is a series of steps we take with a person, usually trying to reach consensus, not putting ourselves on top of the action. And you have to imagine a person with this situation, with a low level of education, no experience, etc. And so sometimes we need to help this person to make a curriculum. Sometimes we train how to make an interview. This person has to improve their skills, probably, has to know how to look for a job. Sometimes has to do some occupational training because his or her objective sometimes is far away and needs to improve their professional skills. So this is one type of work that we do, but also we are close to the companies. This means that we don't not only work with what we call participants or beneficiaries, but also we make all this work of looking for the appropriate companies that have openings, so that have positions that can be occupied but by our beneficiaries. Also to organize trainings, for example. So we collaborate with companies also. And who makes this? The profiles, the professionals that do this work is what we call employment guidance counselors. And these are the people that work with the beneficiaries, and they train them so they can improve their skills. They know how to, they can improve the way they look for a job, etc. Then we have the job intermediators, who are these people that are in collaboration with the companies. They have to really know what is the labor fabric in the municipalities and gets in contact with the companies. And then sometimes we have also self-employment counselors, because sometimes we talk especially about paid jobs, salaried employment, but sometimes also we have counselors for self-employed. So this is the really fast, but like a picture of what we do. At some point, like, I don't know now, but maybe almost 10 years ago, we started feeling afraid on what's going on with the digital transformation. Because we are working along with this since the year 2000 with European funds. This means that we have a lot of experience. We have a strong methodology, both entities, both organizations, but also means that we are not so young anymore. I don't know how to say it, but our methodology and our staff is not so young. So at some point, we saw that we really had to pay attention to the digital transformation, what's going on and how we have to change with it. And that is when we launched the EmpleandoDigital Plus, EmpleandoDigital at the beginning and then EmpleandoDigital Plus project. The objective of this project is to bring digital, to bring technology to our participants, our beneficiaries, and also to our methodologies and to ourselves as professionals. All this methodology that I have shown in the first slide had to become digital, so to say. So we had a first edition of this EmpleandoDigital from 2017 to 2019, and then a second edition from 2020 to 2023. And in this second edition, we had really clear that we had like these four big objectives. One related to the framework, implementation of a digital competence model, a framework for these professionals, labor market inclusion professionals. And of course, it had to be based on DigComp and also lifelong learning. When we say these labor market inclusion professionals, it was difficult for us in English to find the words to define it. Sometimes we say employment professionals, sometimes we use these words, but finally we came to this conclusion. Here you have to think on the three profiles I said before, okay? The counselors, the job intermediators, and the self-employment counselors. Okay, so we had this first objective of creating a framework. The second of working with companies, working groups with technology companies, and also companies with emerging occupations to detect needs, foresee position, define competent profiles, and adjust alliances. And then we had two objectives related to training, one more focusing on the emerging occupations and the other one on the technology sector. But all of these also have to come together with the change of our staff, the change of our professionals. If we don't change as professionals, then we are not going to be able to create these trainings and collaborate with the companies like this. But today, as we are talking about the DigComp, we are going to focus, of course, in the first point. I only wanted that you have the whole picture, but today we're going to focus totally on the framework. So when we started thinking on developing this framework, what finally we have called DigComPLabor, of course, we focused on the DigComp 2.1. We thought this was a perfectly good basis to design our framework. Also, it facilitates the alignment with the European standards, to European policies. It is, we thought, really important that we are aligned what European institutions and other companies are doing. What we wanted was to create a clear, a coherent framework. So our focus was on this. We had these 5 big areas and 21 competencies. And while we were developing the initial steps, came the DigComp 2.2. And here we saw we had to add the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes, which are comprehensively described in the model. This was really nice for us because it's it's really comprehensive. That is really good for us to describe, but also it was really hard to go through every competence, through every area, describing all of these items. Okay, so going into detail for how we made it, no? We can say that we had like 2 different stages. One, previous steps that I'm going to describe right now, and then the actual implementation of the phases, phase by phase, how we did the DigComp. We were in close collaboration with the JRC, the Joint Research Center, or Consortium, I don't know now, sorry, Center. And we were following the recommendations, both in the previous steps and then following some of their documents and in direct communication with them. So in these previous steps, The first one was getting familiar with it, and here it was still a 2.1 because the 2.2 I think it came in 2020 or 2022. I don't remember. But it was getting familiar. In the first edition of the EmpleandoDigital, this digital project that I was talking about, we made some, I would say, shy initial steps, getting familiar with the DigComp. But then when the second project, the second edition of EmpleandoDigital came, we went right into it. So when we were familiar with the framework, we get in contact with organizations that use it and that have made adaptations. What we wanted here was to know what it is already done, and if some entities, some organizations have made it good also. We wanted like the best practices possible to look at them, to have them as a model. So here, I guess that if you are in this world of the DigComp, you can know them. ICANOS, also INTEF, and the government of Castilla and Leon, one region in Spain. Then we had to disregard the existence of something that already existed, that was what we were going to create. So we were looking for it. We were making interviews, reading some bibliography, like reading studies, and we found that it did not exist. Then we review the theoretical papers on it and the implementation guides. And here we have to say that the DigComp at Work guidelines was really useful for us, and we had it like a model, like a template almost. Then we have to localize the appropriate translations into Spanish as the basis to follow the work. Also here with the work from ICANOS and from NCC. Then we contacted entities that were already implementing assessment tools. And we tried also to identify possible digital competence assessment tools that we could use. We have to say that we did not find something that we could use that was so adapted to our objective. So we made this work, and it was useful to know what's on the market, but we had to do it ourselves, our own framework. Okay, and later the report on existing DigComp adaptations and how they can contribute to our objective. So we made all these previous steps to be prepared to create our own framework. And we created it following these series of phases that we are going to see now. The first one is the definition of the competence needs. We had to really define comprehensively, properly, the competencies we are talking about. The second one would be the assessment of the digital competencies of our professionals, and there we have to create the tool and then assess the professionals. Then we have to design the training actions based on everything that we made until there, implement these training actions, evaluate the results, and likely disseminate and have user manuals. Our objective with all of this is to create this framework, of course, for our professionals, but also to go beyond. I mean, not only to the professionals of Cruz Roja in Spain, Spanish Red Cross, and Fundación Secretariado Gitano, but also that this is usable by other entities, public or private. This was really important for us. This is why this last phase of dissemination is also important for us. I have to say that we have deeply worked from 1 to 4. We have developed a lot in these phases, and the last 2, we are still on it. So to say, we have made things, but only partially. We are working in next projects that we hope that we hope that we can develop more.
Raúl.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question. How many people are we talking about on both the supply side, let's say your organizations, when you're talking about assessing your professionals, training them and so on? Are we talking about more or less how many people, roughly? And the other question is on the side of the people. on the side of the people that you assist, more or less, roughly, what are we talking about? How many 100,000 people per year, something like that, roughly? It doesn't have to be a specific number, just to understand the size of the process.
Talking about the professionals, roughly, I would say that the Spanish Red Cross, I'm working only in employment, I mean,
yes,
is around 1,000 people. And Fundación Secretariado Gitano, maybe half of it, 500, more or less. We don't know for sure because there are a lot of movement, but around that.
Okay.
So the total amount would be 1,500.
Okay.
And with how many people we work in employment in Fundación Secretariado Gitano, I know that we work around 30,000 people every year. And Cruz Roja, I'm so sorry, but I don't have this data. Maybe my colleague Lara, that is in the audience, can write it to me, and we can say, or she can write it in the chat. But it's a lot of people. Anyway,
yes, definitely.
The people we work with is a lot, and our staff, yeah, the Red Cross is 90,000. It's really a big number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we go to the first phase, and we would say that in the first phase, we have like these 5 moments inside the phase. The first one would be the design of the professional profile. And there what we wanted was to have a complete profile of the labor market inclusion professional. And also at the end, we would have identified the activities that can be carried out using these digital tools. This means that we have a list of all the functions, tasks, activities that these professionals must do. And we also know which of them must be carried out or can be carried out using digital tools. Then it would come the design of the digital professional profile. Here we would have a set of the necessary digital skills and the required levels for the job. And this will be a contrast with other organizations. We are a lot, but there are much more organizations in Spain that do this work. Then we would draft the competencies, write each competence in terms adjusted to the occupation. We are talking about 21 competencies for these professionals that we have to adjust to the exact work that they do. The level descriptors, which are descriptions of the selected proficiency levels. And we had like these levels we can see here, these 4 levels that later we had only 3. But at the beginning, it was our ideas, it was that they were 4. And lastly, the evidences, evidence of examples of skills, attitude, knowledge for each proficiency level that these professionals might have. These practical examples, we took them from our knowledge of these 24 years working in this area. Okay, let me see. Okay, so going to the first to the first moment of this phase. What we had, as I was saying, was the complete profile. Sorry, because I don't know if like this is better. No? We had the general profile of the labor market inclusion profession. What do we have here? We have really comprehensively described what is being a labor market inclusion professional. What do we mean when we talk about labor market inclusion? What do we mean when we talk specifically about the professionals, the occupation? Which are the functions, but also which are the values, which are the competences, which is the level of studies that they must have, the level of experience. It's like really comprehensive description of the position. What we found here is that we had like 9 functions and 60 tasks that they have to develop. And also we identify the activities that can be carried out using digital tools. And by doing this, we also could check that the 5 areas and the 21 competencies described in the DigComp are appropriate to the labor market inclusion professional. But we saw that especially the areas 1 to 3 are completely keys to these professionals, while 4 and 5 are also important but more cross-cutting. this was relevant for us. Then came the moment of the design of the digital professional profile. What we had here is we had a set of all the necessary digital skills and also the required levels. As you can see, the level is basic, medium, or advanced, and we identify them through verbs. So when we say, for example, in the number one that we need to know and master efficient searches for general information, then we know it is an advanced level because know and master means advanced level. While identify, for example, means a basic level. This digital professional profile was really important for us to have it, so we can have a basis, a profile, so to say, that can be useful, for example, for a selection process. We have a description of these professionals, and so we can use it when we have to do some selection process. Also for training, to describe what is the ideal level of digital competencies, and so we can evaluate in which level is our professionals, and we can design training, and also at some time in the future for certification. So it can be useful. Okay, and also as I was saying before, we made some contrast with other entities that also work in employment in Spain, for example, La Rueca or Nova or some others. After this contrast, we also sent it to the JRC, and with all this information, we had a really well-based DPP. This is an example, not an example, but the graphic of the labor market inclusion professionals DPP. Here we have the profile, and so I think we can clearly see here from the 1 to 3, we have like a more medium advanced requirement. This is like the ideal graphic, and then 4 and 5 are more in the middle or basic requirement. Okay, the next moment would be the draft competencies, the writing of the competencies. And each competencies, we had to write it, of course, totally adjusted to the occupation. So here we can see the 3 levels. This is an example of the 1.1. The basic level would be at an elementary level and or with appropriate support. And we have there the list of the description of what means being in a basic level, and the same with the medium and the same with advanced. This we made it through all the 21 competencies. As I was saying, it was hard work, but it was necessary and really interesting for us also. And also, as I was saying before, the recommendation of the Joint Research Center was that this absence level that we had thought initially made no sense. At a level of description, it made no sense talking about absence, but talking about basic. Later, when we go into assessing, into evaluating our staff, then we will see, because maybe some people have absence of some of the levels, and then we will see. But and in this description moment, it made no sense, and we didn't use it. We went basically to basic, intermediate, and advanced. And the last moment of this first phase would be the writing of the evidences, examples of skills and attitudes for each proficiency level. And here you can see the 3 levels, and also in each column we have knowledge, we have skills, and we have attitude. Each of these are examples on what means having a basic knowledge in each of the competence. A basic skill on each of the competence, and a basic attitude on it. Yeah, as you can imagine, it was a hard work, but really interesting. And it was based on the practical examples that we have from 20 years.
Very
and
impressive.
Here, thank you, Stefano. Yeah, it was a hard work, yeah, but we are really happy with the results because this slide is simply to see how the end picture of it. No? Here we have the description at the 3 levels and the 3 levels with all the evidences. This would be the 1.1. So you have to think of this with the 21. You can see it in the document only in Spanish. Okay.
I would consider that you have 10, 15 more minutes.
Okay. Okay. So I go fast. This is the more time we spent, as you can see here, because we added the years or the months that we spent on each phase. As you can imagine, this hard work initially was in which we spent more time. And then the rest of it, we made it during 2023. So the second phase would be the assessment of the digital competencies of our professionals. Here, the core of this was to get a good tool, to get a good bank of questions that we can use to assess our professionals. This that you can see in the slide is only an example of the results of one evaluation. So for this, we went also to the market and looked for a company that could help us creating this. We created a bank of more than 100 questions. And each question, we had questions for all the competencies, of course, all the areas, and asking about the knowledge, the attitude, and the abilities. Some questions were the ones about knowledge are about knowledge, and the other ones are self-perception of the professionals. We have to say that in this phase, we know that we have to improve. When we are able to keep working with it, we are going to fine-tune the questions, because we can see that some of the questions maybe are like they activate the social desirability. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but you can easily see with this which is the good answer. And so we know that some people is going to answer what they expect, what is expected to answer, not the reality. So we have to improve it, but it is an initial real good work. Also during this phase, we developed the template of the reports. And here I put again the graphic, the ideal, the desirable competence level. And what we do is compare the results that get every professional is compared to the ideal profile. So in this pentagon, as you can see here, this double pentagon, the one inside would be the ideal, and the points out mostly outside is the answers of the person. In this case, we could clearly see that this person needs to improve in the creation of digital competence, digital content, sorry. All the rest is better than expected. So this person, in the recommendations of the report, we would say areas of improvement is the digital content creation. The report is follows competence by competence, makes this comparison of the levels, so that the person can see in which should improve. And what we have done until now, we are in test mode yet, is almost 200 people has been evaluated, mostly from Red Cross. And as I was saying, we are 1,500 working in employment, so we have a long to go yet, but almost 2,000 by now. The third phase focuses on the design of the training. And more than design, again, following the recommendations of the JRC, what we do is look for training that already existed. They told us that we should not use our time creating new trainings, because there's a lot of training in the market that can be used. So what we did was search for training. We found this from the associations of companies in Spain. I don't know the exact name, sorry. But yes, it's like the Spanish companies. They have a real good training regarding DigComp, and we use this. We came to an agreement with them and we could use it. At some point, we expect in the future maybe to fine-tune the training and make something more specific. Maybe use this as a basis for general purposes, but then go into details of the specific of our profession. And until now, we have 113 of our professionals that have gone through these trainings. And the fifth phase, as I was saying, from now on, we are really in beta moment. We have to develop more on this. The evaluation of the results of the evolution of our professionals. With 44 people took the post-test after the training. This means that we make an initial evaluation with the tool. We have the results. People do the training, and then we make a post-test after the training, and so we can compare if people improved or not. We have to say that 100% reflect improvement, reaching the desired profile. But as saying, we have to scale this, of course. And the last phase, it would be the dissemination and the user manuals. The project, if you remember the beginning when I started talking about the EmpleandoDigital project, this project ended, EmpleandoDigital Plus ended in October 2023. And in the closing event, it was invited the director of SEPE. SEPE is the Public Employment Services in Spain. So the boss of all the job centers in Spain. He was invited. We presented there this framework. And there he said that it was really interesting and that he would be interested in using it in the job centers, in their professionals. This links with what I was saying at the beginning, that this framework, the ideal for us is that it is not only a tool for us, but a tool for all the labor market inclusion professionals that work in publicly, for example, in this service, or privately in other NGOs or other organizations. So we are in conversations and in meetings to make it a reality. To make this a reality, but it is still in process, of course. Also, I can see that right now Clara joined the meeting, and we have also the possibility that the Joint Research Center presents this framework as a good practice. That would be great. And yes, this is really important for us, this phase of this dissemination, and keep working with it in the next project. And that's all from my side. I don't know if there are some questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Raúl. Very interesting presentation. It's really impressive what you did. And I haven't seen such a detailed digital professional profile as the one that you designed. So it's really interesting. And I don't know, I have a few questions, but I will, if anyone from the participants want to ask questions, just you can switch on your camera and microphone and you can ask them, or maybe I can.
While they think about the question,
in the chat.
While they think about the question, I must say that the hard work was made by Olga and Lara, that are also with us here. I'm only presenting it, but this hard work of creating all of it and developing it was theirs.
Okay.
Thank you.
And well, my question is, I just had a few. When you were developing filling up, let's say the framework with the examples or specifications of the companies based on your context, did you find anything that didn't fit into DigComp, the DigComp framework? You know, I mean, the DigComp framework it's quite high level descriptors, so you can always put under these descriptors many different things. But sometimes there are really things which are hard to fit inside the framework. And so some people, like I have in mind now the Ikanos experience, where they develop what they call sub-competencies to give room to things which are not clearly openly described in DigComp, but that are important in a specific occupation. So I was wondering if you faced this problem or you didn't. I mean, basically, the framework was the categories of the framework were sufficient, and you didn't feel the need of adding, let's say, new things. Of course, you added things specific of your sector, but not necessarily new competencies. This is one question.
In principle, no, I would say that the framework is really comprehensive, and we did not find this need of adding something new. What it is particular in our job, it is more related to the level of vulnerability of the people we work with. But the actions we make, in principle, are the actions that any labor market inclusion professional would do, with different levels of maybe some high school level beneficiaries or our beneficiaries, but the actions are in principle the same. And the way the competencies are applied to it is also, we did not find something that we would say we have to create a new competence, so to say. Okay. We did not have this problem.
Okay. And another, let's say, general question. What was the reaction of the staff, your professionals that you involved first in the assessment of their competence, and then you asked them to go through some training and so on? Was it? Did they find that what you were doing was coherent with their experience and their needs? They felt that it was something going a strange direction that they didn't understand, just as a feeling, because it's yes, you had people that I mean, they're colleagues, so you can talk to them. They probably can tell you the truth or react openly on certain things they don't like and so on. So I was wondering, what was
I forgot to say that, for example, in the evaluation, when we are evaluating now our staff, as we are in beta phase, we ask them to give us feedback on it, and so we have information. This is only an example on how we usually work. Also, from in the initial EmpleandoDigital in 2017, one of the first activities that we made were I don't know how to say that in English, raising awareness. Yes. with our colleagues. So we visited all both Cruz Roja, their offices, and our offices. We visited all of our colleagues to do some previous work on raising awareness on the digital, because of course there are resistance and there are people that find it so difficult, these changes and especially with digital. So I would say the answer is both ways. We found resistance, of course, but we came working on it from time before. So I think we know by now, although of course we make mistakes, but we know by now how to deal with this resistance and how to work with. And our staff is used to us working with digital tools and digital competencies. We come working also directly with our beneficiaries with a system of digital skills training and assessing. So they are used to the system, although it was not exactly DigComp, but they are used to this. Okay, you have to first assess the skills of the person, that you have to train, then you have to assess again to see if the person improved or not. You have to compare it to a certain professional profile. We are used to all these proceedings. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yes, perfectly. And then I have one last question, because maybe somebody else wants to do. Are you thinking of extending this or maybe you're doing it already. I mean, this approach to your customers in the sense of assessing the digital competence of the people that you help entering into the labor market, and maybe recommend, based on this assessment, recommend them to, but then of course, in that case, becomes more complicated because you face a wide range of different jobs. So it might become more difficult, but let's say at the basic foundation up to intermediate level, probably there is a large, significant amount of transversal digital competence, which is important in any kind of occupations that you may get into, and that people might need. So I was wondering.
The exact plans, the exact next steps, I don't know. But I must say that maybe we did it the other way around, because as I was saying, we are working with our beneficiaries, assessing the skills, training the skills from many years. I think we began in 2010 or something like that. Maybe not so based in DigComp as this framework is, but we started working on it on a different dictionary of competencies and skills. Okay. But we are working on it. So if in the future we can see that all of our system must be based in DigComp, the methodology, so to say, is really similar. It only changes the dictionary of competencies, I would say. But we have these levels, we have these evidences of skills, and here what you say is really relevant. We have made it with one profession, ours. But to do it with all the professions our beneficiaries can work in is another thing. And for this, I must say that yes, in the past we collaborated really closely with Accenture Foundation, and we already have some profiles of many of the professions that usually our beneficiaries find jobs in. So we have a lot of work made there. And it is more than possible that we can adapt, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Raul.
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to ask? We have 7-8 more minutes. Please, Clara.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for the presentation. I apologize because I could only join at the very last slide of Raul, saying that he would appreciate that the GRC promotes this as a good practice, so it's just at the right time. But unfortunately, I missed. In fact, I would like to know a little bit more how CEPE is receiving this profile, how it is envisaging, if and how it is envisaging to use it. Maybe you explained it already, so apologies if you're repeating information. But no there are some minutes and nobody asked anything, so maybe I can use this time. Thank you.
Yeah, what I can say right now is that we are in negotiations, so to say. Okay. As you know, in the closing event of the EmpleandoDigital, the director said that it was really interesting and they would be interested in applying it. And so what we have now is meetings. We have meetings and we have to land it, so to say, to really make it more specific. But we have not more concrete plans by now.
If I may ask also, is there anything, because we are promoting this as a good practice, as you know, but if there any specific action or something that could support you, if you could elaborate, that would be good for us to see, to consider at least on our side. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, sorry, that was a question. I didn't understand that.
So on our side, we think this is a very, very interesting experience, and which is relevant for a profession in different sectors, not only third sector, but also public and private. So all the workers that are working on employment guidance, and which is a very relevant profession in different sectors, and can, if it reaches to CEPE, it can have a major impact across the country. So we are we are talking about it whenever we have an opportunity to similar actors, or even considering presenting this to the European Public Employment Service Working Group, to which CEPE belongs to. We have mentioned that also, we are promoting it. The question is if there is any specific additional, I think, action that could support you in your further implementation and of this framework.
Yeah, that I don't know for sure.
Okay.
That I think I would need the help of Olga, Lara, and other members of the organization, and we can go back to you and tell you, of course. But it's always really appreciated, your support and help, of course.
I wanted to add that I hope, Clara, that you manage to bring this experience to the European Working Group on Public Employment Services, because I think this what the effort you developed, and it's not only significant, but you already tested it on the field and it seems to work. So you have evidence that it's well designed and it's effective and so on. So it would really be interesting. From a European perspective, I think the next step would be, if it was possible, to have a pilot project to first of all translate the whole thing into English, and then test it in maybe 2 other countries which have different context, employment, labor market, employment services, and so on, and see how much, what is the localization effort needed beyond the translation into other languages, to what extent there are also changes that need to be made to the description of the competencies and so on, based, or the integration maybe based on different local conditions, and then based on the result of that, then somebody might promote a wider use at European level. But I keep seeing, and I think it's such a pity that I keep seeing the same things being repeated over and over again by different countries, and it's such a waste of money. And I think that especially when this is European money, the European Commission should take care of avoiding this happening. And every time there is an opportunity to say, okay, I put some money here to go on, to move on, but under the condition that you build on top of what already exists, rather than again repeating, starting from scratch. And unfortunately, this is not happening in most cases. So it's but digital skills, digital competence is an area where this can be done, because more or less digital competencies are the same all around Europe. So it's the institutional setting that's very similar.
This I forgot to mention, but in a next step would be, of course, the translation and transferability to other contexts in Europe. And there is what you say, it is possible that it's only the translation what is needed, but it's really, maybe we have to update it and change something. I don't know. But yes, this would be clearly a next step.
Please, Clara.
Yeah, in this sense, may I ask you if you have a presentation? Well, you have here the presentation. So I was, so to say, a leaflet, 2 pages, so to say, presentation of the project that could be shared in English to other actors. If you have it already, that could be instrumental to promote it internally, at least within the commission, and maybe with other actors. If when we talk to other actors, to share it with those actors, that would be useful. So if you have it, welcome to receive it and to use it for that purpose. And I think the idea of Stefano is very relevant and very practical. No, you have a project there defined, on a very practical project on how to move one step further. No, how to progress in making in reusing this by other actors in a cautious way, and measured, and how to say, tactical way. No, understanding the steps, what needs to, so even understanding what would be for after this stage, this pilot could be even to develop the steps. No, if a new country wants to adapt this, what would be the necessary stages that one would need to go through. First, maybe translate, then revise the translation by X, then you consult your blah, blah, blah. So what would be, based on the pilot, the recommended steps to for any actor across Europe, both in public, private, or third sectors, to use this framework, to incorporate this framework in their own organizations. That would be, I think, a very meaningful and helpful stage.
Yeah.
Completely.
Thank you, Stefano. It's a good suggestion.
Okay, we finished our time in perfect time with 3 o'clock, and so I thank everybody, Raúl and the friends from Cruz Roja and Fundación Secretariado Gitano, and Clara, and we will keep you informed about. I sent before the link to the DigComP, where you can find information about future inspiring experiences meetings. And you will find all the presentation, the recording, and other links in a folder, and I will send the information to all of you. Thank you very much again, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all.
Ciao.